Okay, welcome everyone. Chapter 4. We're getting into the big ones now. This is so exciting. And I'm so excited to have Lori Kolberg as our leader tonight, leading us in the discussion. And like I was just saying before I hit record, I really encourage a ton of conversation, a lot of input from you, and that's what makes this most beneficial. So don't mute yourself unless you have background noise. Please just unmute yourself unless you've got really loud, something going on that might interfere. But otherwise, like, just keep yourself unmuted, because I feel like that's easier for it encourages you to participate more, okay, without having to physically unmute yourself first. Okay, so take it away, Lori. I'm going to have to cut off just like 3 minutes early because I am doing the focusing on financial illness training that I hope you guys are going to jump on as well. I'm going to do a reminder on the Wellness Warriors right now, and the link will be on there. So you can look for that right after this call and jump on that as well, okay? Both will be recorded, this one and that one as well. So anyways, let's take it away. I'll turn it over to Lori. Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome. Thank you. I feel honored. And actually, I just think we should start with an affirmation. And my affirmation is, why am I so blessed to cover this chapter? Yeah, I had to throw that in there. So it's an honor to lead you in this chapter. And it's funny because when I first started reading the book, I didn't have the book copy. And I found some audio of this lady reading it. It was terrible, but it was free, so I did it. But I've listened to her, and she's just, it's just funny. Anyway, the purpose of affirmations is to change our disempowering questions to empowering questions. And by doing this, we will gain conscious control of our thought seeds that we're planting. And I think that's amazing, because whatever we plant is what we sow is what we reap. So, which through the law of attraction will change our lives. Most of us are already unknowingly asking ourselves negative questions subconsciously. I know I tend to go negative, especially when things aren't going my way. So does anyone feel comfortable sharing any of their disempowering questions? I can go first. I know that mine forever has been, why am I not enough, or why am I not good enough? And I'm sure some of these stem from things that may have happened in our childhood, or stuff we've made up about our own lives. Does anyone want to share any?
I can share one. Let's see. Why do I think things won't work out for me? That was one of mine.
Yeah, that's great. And so the whole reason for those is we want to replace those disempowering questions with empowering questions, because we're already subconsciously doing these negative ones. So why don't we, on purpose, say positive things? When we ask our minds a question, it automatically begins to search for an answer. And I've always heard what you focus on is what you get. And that just really comes true in this chapter. You can really see that that's what they're talking about. When we ask ourselves empowering questions, we're focusing on what we have versus what we lack. And you've probably all heard about focusing on abundance, and that's exactly what he's saying there. Okay, so what are some of your empowering questions? Because this could be very powerful for all of us to share what empowers us. And I bet you would say it even in an empowering way versus the way we say our disempowering questions.
Mine is about having confidence in myself.
Awesome.
Why do I have confidence in myself?
Love it.
Nice.
Well, the way I changed the one that I told you, the negative, I redid it with, why do things always work out for me?
Great. Anybody else want to share?
I have one.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Hannah, you're up.
All right. One of mine that I like to use probably daily is, why am I so motivated?
Thank you. And somebody else, Grace.
I'm usually really good at starting things, but never finishing or following through. And so what I came up with is, why am I so great at finishing what I start?
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. I've noticed as I've started to do this, though, I can actually hear myself coming up with answers. Like, answers are popping into my head. Why am I such a good mom? And then maybe I would say, you know, something like, I made my kids breakfast today, or whatever. But I can tell a difference for me. I know I've been pretty negative in the past. I have read How to Talk to Yourself. How do you say, what's the title? What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And so this is even more amazing than that. So, so the 4 steps of creating affirmations. And the first one is, what do you want? And the only thing I can hear in my head is that scene from The Notebook. What do you want? What do you want? I don't know if you've seen it, but that's all I could think of. So I think it's crucial for us to focus on what do we want and not try to think of, oh, what would my spouse want or what would someone else want? I think it really is getting down to, what do we really want? Because it really is up to us to choose that. The second thing is to form a question that assumes that what you want is already true. Your life is a reflection of the thought seeds you plant and give energy to. So what do you want to have what do you want to give energy to in your life? So those are some powerful things to think about. The third one was a little bit harder to understand. It says, give yourself to the question. Does anybody have like a way to describe that? Give yourself to the question.
Well, one way he described it was, when we Google something, when we ask a question on Google, do we think about what the answer is going to be? I mean, we don't worry about it anymore. We let Google take over. And what he was saying is, when we ask ourselves a question, our brain automatically goes to work trying to find that answer.
And I love that. I think that the Google part is what stood out the most in my mind from this whole chapter, because in a matter of seconds, we can find out things we don't know just by, I mean, we use Google, I don't even know how many times a day. If we had to go back and use the encyclopedia like we used to, we probably wouldn't even care anymore. We wouldn't even be looking stuff up, right? But yeah, we don't worry that Google won't get it right. So when we ask empowering questions, we're focusing again on what we have and not what we lack. And the fourth one is, take new actions based on your new assumptions about life. So are you believing that life is for you or that life is against you? I have a sister who I feel like kind of always feels like the world's out to get her. They kind of play that victim role, her and her husband. And what is showing up? A lot of things show up, and it's very negative. They're sick a lot. And I mean, I think you can physically make yourself sick, or, you know, by your thoughts, if they're always negative. So, so I would love to hear any of the cool things happening to you guys from reading and applying this chapter. Like I said, for me, I've been more positive. I've heard myself thinking up better ways. One of my favorite affirmations, I think, that he put in the chapter was, let me turn to it quick while you guys are thinking. I love the one that says, why do I have the courage to do what I love? I really like that one. And I find it interesting that it says, why am I enough and why am I good enough? So those are two separate things that he has on there. So what things have you guys found from this chapter that you have loved?
I'll share my favorite affirmation. It's so simple, but it's the one that I feel the most empowered by, is why am I so blessed? Like, I ask myself that several times a day. And I feel like the reason that one's my favorite is because when I ask myself that question, then it makes me like, it makes me remember that oh, sorry, there's a bad echo. It makes me remember that I'm like a divine daughter of God, and that he loves me and he wants me to be blessed. And so it makes me feel more confident and more brave and more bold in going after the blessings that I want, because I realize they're for a righteous purpose. You know what I mean? And another one of my favorites that I came up with myself is, why do I have so much that I'm messing up the wording on it, but it's like, why do I have so much abundance that I have enough to give and help others? And I think that, I don't know, that just makes me feel so empowered, and like I deserve every blessing that's out there. And so it makes me more bold in going after what I want.
Thank you.
I love the statement, why does having what I want help others get what they want? That has spoken to me a lot about the whole concept of duplication. If I'm doing everything that I need to be doing to get what I want, I'm going to be patterning that for other people as well and being an example to them.
Right.
I like that one too.
Renee had something to say. I think.
Renee.
So you guys might laugh at mine, but I kind of went on this whole quest because I struggle with my mother-in-law. And so I made up one that says, why do I enjoy Jana's company so much? And it's actually working. The last
Good.
I've been with her, she hasn't driven me insane.
That's
So that one's on my Think Up app, and I hear it every single day. Why do I enjoy Jana's company so much? So I don't know. You can use it for other things. You're like, it's crazy.
Yeah, he says that at the back of the book, or the back of the chapter, that this can be applied to anything in your life, whether it be money or relationships, weight loss, sales, health. So I think, if we want to make goals with this, we really just need to sit down and go through those different areas and then make affirmations for those.
Yeah.
And it's an infinite number of affirmations. You don't have to stop ever, That's awesome.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Whitney.
I thought it was crazy, the example that he shared about the couple that needed to sell their home because they were relocating, and like he had them go into every room in his house and bless that, bless that room, basically pray over it, and then say, why do we sell our house so easily for the right price? And then like right away it sold. So crazy. Things like that. Those examples to me, because that's stuff that's like beyond your control. You know what I mean? But I do think there's power in putting it out there and having faith in it like that. So I don't know.
That's great. So I haven't earned my planner yet. Thankfully, I have an extension. But what's interesting is I kept saying, why am I going to earn this planner? Why am I going to get 2 more customers? And people were really people out of the blue were messaging me. And the fact that I said, why am I going to get this planner? And then I didn't by that deadline. And then there was an extension. That's just pretty cool, I think.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
I think it's really just us changing the things we say and what our focus is on. Whitney, all the things that you're blessed with are going to show up because you're asking why you're so blessed. So, and Renee's going to see things she maybe didn't focus on with Jana, is that her name?
Yeah.
Before, that are going to show up for you now. And he says that you will be amazed at these results. I don't know where it is. I underlined a bunch, but You'll be amazed at the results because your focus is not what it used to be. We're used to focusing more on the negative. I thought this was going to be a longer chapter than it was. I really tried to take from it what we could actually apply to ourselves. And so what else do you guys have?
I have kind of where I've kind of brought it beyond just kind of a goal or an individual focused item. And I'm actually recreating the way that I think about things. So I don't know about you guys. I know that the 90% of my iceberg is pretty powerful. And it is very subtle and undermining in just little nuances of how we think. So what I've been doing is I've just been paying a lot more attention to my thoughts, to the things that come out of my mouth. And whenever something is kind of negative or, you know, really addressing my lack of ability or I don't know how to do that or whatever, whenever that statement comes up in my thought, I will reframe it into an affirmation. So it may not be something that I say over and over and over and over and over again, but it's something that is changing the way, it's changing a perspective, it's changing the way that I look at life in just little things throughout the day. And so I think that the whole power of affirmations can be applied in multiple levels in our life. And I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I'm probably driving people nuts that I work with, you know, because whenever they grumble, complain, we've got huge changes going on at work. So whenever they're kind of in this negative mode, I'll just kind of rephrase it, reframe it, and they'll go, oh, right. You know, and then they're starting to kind of pick up on it as well. So I think by doing it in all those little areas, and whenever we notice something that is negative that's coming up, if we will just reframe it and rephrase it, it starts reinforcing a more positive way of looking at things.
You know, my daughter is catching on to it. Like if I say, why is the house so mess? She's like, why is the house so clean? So, I mean, they're aware, and I have some Post-its up too, and my daughter's like, oh, that's what those Post-its are. So it's good to have them do that. I mean, I teach school, and even at 9 years old, fourth graders, they are so negative that after I was doing this as well, I was going like, okay, we don't talk like that, you know, it's not, I am so stupid, you know, they just have these really negative thoughts, and so I can help them as well. I also think of, I don't know why I thought of this, but in my religion, the 3 questions we ask is, where did we come from, why are we here, and where are we going? And I think just in all these questions, that's something that came up. I also thought about kids and how many questions they ask as kids and figuring things out. And I wonder where, you know, that transformation goes from just being inquisitive and positive to more some of this negative stuff. Like, where does that come from? And I would love for us to stop it, you know, and we can change by, you know, doing this for us and our own families. So what else?
One thing that I like that he said too is when he talked about the Google, he says with us, we can change the question, where with Google, Google can't change the question. And so as we gain things, we can change our questions. We can just keep, it's just like our why, it changes all the time.
I love this book study, and I would love that, you know, if we can empower each other by sharing our affirmations and what things are happening for us. I think that's powerful as well, kind of like with accountability part, if we, you know, have something cool to share.
I like that idea.
I just wanted to share something that is more along the line of the process. My brain is getting to the point where every now and then I'll forget words. You know, I'm trying to say something and I cannot find the word for it. And so I just kind of like, oh, well, you know, and then at some point throughout the day, that word will just pop in my mind. And that is such a really classic example of how our brains work. And it's exactly what he's talking about. We're not conscious about the fact that it's going, you know, that there's something connecting within our brain and within our thoughts that is on the search. It's trying to find it, and eventually it will pop up. And that, to me, has been a really practical thing for myself, just to say that my brain is working. So if I'm asking these questions, even though I may not currently find that answer or be aware of that answer, that my brain is going to continue working until it pops up.
Yeah, and he said not to focus on, you know, where you're going to find the answer. It's just about asking better questions. So I think the more specific that we can be, the better as well.
And what Amy was just saying too made me think of when he was talking about affirmations and afformations. What we were doing in affirmations is we were making it firm. And we can't make it firm until we form. And so that really stuck out with me too.
I always try to think of like an analogy or an object lesson, and I was thinking about like Play-Doh or something, or clay. You're not going to set it up until you actually know what you want to make with it. Mm-hmm. So you have to have a plan before you go into that. Thanks, Lori.
What I found kind of interesting is I actually spoke to my grandmother about this. She owned her own company for over 30 years. She was very successful. And I said, when you were in school, did they ever tell you when you were going to start your own business or when you were learning, did they ever tell you to do affirmations? And she said, oh, you know, all the time. And she said, but I didn't like them. They didn't work. They didn't do anything for me. And she said it was because she would say, well, I'm really successful. And just like he says in the book, your head immediately goes, yeah, right, I'm not. So I told her about the affirmations, and she kind of gave me this blank stare. And I thought, does she not think this is a good idea? And she kind of looked at me for a minute and said, I can't believe no one thought of that earlier. She thought it was such a good idea.
That's awesome.
Awesome. It makes so much sense, because we really, now that I can consciously see how many questions I ask myself, it is funny that we haven't noticed that before.
Right.
Anybody else want to share?
Well, just for the sake of, I guess, maybe kind of bringing up some additional thoughts, like, I mean, I've already noticed this is making a huge difference in my life. So I've been reading this book now for, what is it? When did we start it with Tamra? Was it the beginning of October?
Like beginning of
September, I thought.
Oh yeah, this is the end of October. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, and when, I don't know if you're like me, but when I finished it the first time and he said that I want you to go back and read this book at least 2 more times, I think that's what he said. I was like, you know, I was excited to read it, because I feel like this is something that you want to implement into your life consistently. You know, it's almost like, for me, scripture study or something like that, I feel like you're never going to reach the end. You're always going to be growing. And this is something that you continually need to work on, because even if you practice it and you reach those goals and you get where you want to be, I feel like if you stop doing it at some point, then those bad thoughts are the head trash creeps back up. It's something like you have to continually weed a garden or something. So I feel like this is not just a book that you read once or a book you read 3 times and then you've arrived. I feel like it's something that you have to practice through your whole life. And that's why I was so excited when someone mentioned we should, you know, even though we did the book study with Tamara's group, like, we wanted to hear the conversation, the thoughts that were going on in each other's heads, and to be able to discuss it, I feel like is so much more powerful than just even reading it ourselves and doing the exercises and practicing it every day. So I love that. And I feel like this is a lifestyle change, and it's something that we have to do for the rest of our lives if we really want to ever live our true purpose and find our calling, like he says. So pretty neat.
All right, thank you. I think that's it. I don't know. I wish I was doing the next chapter because, you know, when you teach something, you really go into it and really learn it. So, but if you want to listen to that lady for free, it's great. I just turn on the speaker when I'm in the shower and I listen to her, and she stumbles over her words, and it's pretty funny. But
that's so funny. Well, I think since I have it on Audible, it allows me to send so many free versions, and it's actually Noah St. John that reads it, and he has a very, very dramatic voice. The way he reads it, it's very entertaining. So if you guys do want a free Audible version, I think I can send it to you. It's worth it.
That would be great.
That would be awesome.
Oh yeah, because I listened also to the women, Lori. I couldn't handle it.
I know.
It was like, come on. So I finally got it on Kindle.
So bad. Well, then I bought the book, but I was like, well, it's free listening to this lady, but oh my gosh, if you haven't.
It was painful.
It's so painful.
It was.
Okay, well, if you guys want me to send you the free Audible, then just private message me. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure if you have to be new.
Yeah, if you can.
But yeah, send me a private message and I'll send it. So, okay, well, we're going to check out a few minutes early, like I said. So thank you, Lori. That was such great conversation. Oh my goodness. I know we're all so excited about this. And I mean, I can already see my life transforming because of this. And I hope you guys can too. So, all right, next week.
Who's doing next week?
Yeah. Lori, will you pick someone to do chapter 5?
I know? How do I know? I don't know who's already done it.
I've already done it.
Yeah.
Renee, have you done it? She's muted. So.
I haven't done this book, but I have done other books. So if somebody hasn't had a chance.
I don't know how to pick because I don't know who's done it. So.
Yeah, Renee, go ahead and do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Grace is raising her hand. Do you want to do it, Grace?
Has Grace had a chance? I don't know if she's had a chance.
No, I haven't had a chance, but I will volunteer for chapter 6.
Awesome.
Okay. So
Renee, you're 5.
I'll do 5.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
All right, you guys are amazing. Keep reading, keep doing those exercises. They're so powerful. And make sure you write them down. Don't just like think about it in your head, but write down the exercises, okay?
Journal.
Everyone have a great night. Have a happy Halloween. Hope it's safe and fun for everyone, and we'll see you soon. Love you guys.
Good night.
Good night.